So I spend a great deal of time thinking about growth in all sorts of areas. And that's one thing that you end up doing if you are doing anything related to education. You're always thinking about, okay, what is the thing that you should be pursuing next? Where should you actually be going? And I think that this is pretty universal, whether you are doing education or doing anything where you're in a leadership role where you're thinking about where to go and what should you sort of pursue and in terms of your life. And there's moments that many of us sort of pursue that early on in your 20s or that sort of early part of your life. But then as you get older, many of us stop doing that. But if you're in a leadership role, you're sort of leading an organization or a group, or you are, for me, I do a lot of research, I'm always forward thinking. I'm thinking about where I can go. And every once in a while, I'm kind of reflecting on going through some old photos today, and I look back and I think about how far I I've come, we've come, sort of in general. And I think about like how amazing things are. I look at, I was looking at photos when I was sort of first married, and the world was completely different. This is back in 2005. That was the year that Facebook came out. And I remember it was a big deal when that came out. And then I remember when the iPhone came out in 2007, or these were very distinct minds. It was something I was interested in, right? So I remember those moments, um, and how different things actually were. But then not only that, how different I was as a person. And I look back and I almost don't even recognize that person. Um, and a huge part of me sort of sees that, oh man, that person was kind of, naive. That person was just very green around the ears. But then as well, I think about like just um, how much hope and opportunity had, just the excitement that there was at that time of my life, early on in my life, when things were sort of, amazing things were happening. The sort of possibilities of things were happening. And right now, I'm at a time in my life where, I'm experiencing all those things that I was sort of hopeful for and dreaming about, and the sort of life that we would live. Um, and I'm kind of living it, but in a world that is quite a bit different than where I thought I would be and who I was. I was always sort of very forward looking by 20 years. And so I think all of the track that I've gone from, being a professor to the entrepreneur and, all these kind of things, with research being at the center of it has always been a very important part. I remember back when I think I was 21 years old, I remember trying to meet with a professor to tell him this was kind of what my dream was sort of solving problems along the way. As you do research on a certain thing, then you solve the problem, and then you add that, and you sort of solve that problem in a bigger sense for more people. And that was the power of software. And this was like at a time when software was so different, and so just beginning, but you still seen the power of that. And now it's the same thing today, right? We think that our world is sort of fixed, and there's not much possibility. Man, 20 years from now, we will be looking back at this and we'll be thinking like, what were we doing? Like, life was sort of very simplistic in many different ways, and we couldn't do anything. And and in the world be so much different than what it is today, and we'll still have the same. Oh my gosh, we still have so much more to do. We can do all these kind of things. I just encourage you to look back and reflect every once in a while, and think about where you have been, who you are, um, just what was it that you sort of thought about at that time? Did it change? Are you the same person? In so many ways, I am that same person, and I've been on sort of this march for many years, having my dream. This was literally, I actually probably have the piece of paper someplace, where I dreamt up like having, as you're doing research and solving problems on companies, you sort of build that into software so it solves it in a broader sense, um, for more than just one person. And, this is what I've been doing. And I think doing those two things, which is so unusual and so weird, in the sort of grand scheme of things in the academic game, is I think it's, but I think it's me. That's who I am, and I've been trying to, and I think that's what hopefully you should get out of this is just be more of who you are, whatever that is. If you are, you know, just don't let the world push you around, and don't come out of this thinking like I am such a different person. And I think you will get pushed around, and that's where you sort of put on your boundaries and you say, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to go back to what I thought I should be. And that, man, it is such a personal journey, and people want to push you around. But you just got to keep back and just doing good things, doing the stuff that what is the right thing to do, and you just repeatedly do that time and time again. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.